For years, burnout has been one of the biggest concerns I hear from high performers. And in 2026, something else is rising right alongside it: AI pressure. According to Indeed.com, AI adoption is now the top concern for job seekers. You might be thinking, how do I stay relevant? How do I stay valuable? And what I see is that AI pressure doesn't replace burnout pressure. It adds to it. Look at it this way. When the pace heats up, the expectations rise. And when expectations rise, high achievers do what they've always done. They push harder. So today, I'm going to talk about burnout in the context leaders are facing right now: rapid change, rising expectations, and the added pressure to stay relevant while also learning how to use AI as a tool that can make you more effective. And burnout is something I've experienced firsthand, especially as a former VP in corporate business, working in high stakes, high pressure, complex environments, while also juggling the demands of having a family. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 reasons high achieving leaders burn out, and importantly, what to do about each one. As you listen, notice which one hits you the hardest. That's usually the one driving more of your stress than you realize. To support you, I created a free guide, the Sustainable Leadership Toolkit. You can download it instantly here. And if you'll do me a favor, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me to grow this channel and offer more free content. Reason number 1 you're burning out: because you're trying harder. Effort matters. You don't get to senior levels without effort. But many high achievers are still operating with one core belief: if I work harder, I'll be okay. In 2026, that belief gets louder because AI is changing the pace of work. When tools can speed things up, a new expectation sneaks in. If this is faster now, why aren't you faster? So you do what you've always done. You work longer, you respond faster, you carry more. Now, imagine this. A fly hits a window and it keeps doing the same thing, buzzing, tapping, spinning over and over. From the outside, it's almost painful to watch because the door is just a few steps away and wide open. But the fly doesn't change strategy. It just tries harder. That's what burnout looks like for a lot of high achievers. At some point, that try harder strategy stops working because you're trying to solve a problem with sheer effort. So let me ask you this. Are you acting like that fly at the window right now? Are you repeating the same habits and hoping things will finally feel easier? Are you working harder but feeling less clear, less patient, and more depleted? Are you pushing for better results while wondering if this pace is sustainable? Here's one of the most common ways this shows up. Your calendar is full all day, and the only way you can get real work done is at night after your kids are in bed. You tell yourself it's temporary, and then it becomes normal. Here's the practical reset. It starts with a shift in your thinking, not a longer to-do list. If your default is always more effort, your nervous system never gets a signal that it's safe to stop. So step back and ask these 3 questions. First, what's your desired outcome? Second, what strategy matches that outcome? And third, what are you doing out of fear that you could stop doing entirely? Take your answer to the 3rd question and delete one commitment or meeting from your calendar today. Just one, to show your nervous system you're allowed to lead differently. Reason number 2. You're burning out because you're overextended. Overextension is what happens when try harder becomes your standard. You take on more because you can. You keep saying yes because you're capable. And in many organizations, the reward for competence is more responsibility. AI adds another layer here. Many leaders are expected to produce more output and learn new tools, adopt new processes, and stay current. So your role expands, even if your title hasn't. Here's what it looks like when your plate is too full. Your work is taking longer than it should because you're so thinly stretched. Your patience is shorter than usual. You're wired and your sleep is off, even when you're exhausted. Your quality is slipping in ways that aren't you. Let's name something important here. You might think overextension is a time issue, but it's a capacity issue. Capacity includes your energy, your focus, your emotional bandwidth, and your ability to think clearly. When your capacity is compromised, everything feels heavier. Small decisions feel annoying. Meetings feel draining. Even minor requests feel like too much. Here's the practical reset. Responsibility here means agency, taking 100% responsibility for yourself. Name your real priorities and protect them and make trade-offs visible. This is something I learned personally when I was a corporate executive and also a full-time working parent. I had to get very clear about what mattered most at work and at home. And I had to let go of goals that were draining me. Overextension often comes from trying to honor too many goals at once, and especially goals that you never consciously choose. So here's a sentence that changes everything at senior levels. I can deliver A and B at the quality we want. If C becomes the priority, what would you like me to deprioritize? That's leadership communication. It makes the trade-off explicit, and it stops you from absorbing the cost and sacrificing yourself. Before I go into the next reasons, I'd like to give you a simple way to organize what you're hearing here today. Most high achievers burn out because they're trying to sustain leadership without a structure. In my work with clients, I think about this in 3 stages. First, clarity. Knowing what matters most right now and what doesn't. Second, strategy. Choosing the best path to your winning outcome, specifically what you'll prioritize and what you'll stop. And 3, implementation, having support and a system so you don't fall back into survival mode. And if you're thinking, I've tried different approaches, but nothing actually changes long-term, this is usually why. You don't need more tactics. You need a framework you can return to. In my coaching work, I teach this as clarity, strategy, and implementation. For some leaders, this is exactly what they build working together in my one-to-one executive coaching or inside the Bliss Accelerator, a 24-week career and leadership accelerator for high-achieving women. Because structure is what makes change sustainable. To support your rise and success as an executive leader with less burnout and more skill, presence, and peace of mind, I created a free guide, the Sustainable Leadership Toolkit, to identify what's fueling your burnout, then build clarity, strategy, and implementation for yourself. You can download it instantly here. Now let's go back to the reasons. Reasons number 3. You're burning out because your attention is fragmented. You might think you have a time problem, but it's more likely an attention problem. And that's because the environment in today's world is relentless. Emails, messages, Slacks, meetings, ping, and now AI courses, AI summaries, AI drafts, AI suggestions, more. The hidden cost is context switching. What's that? Well, every time you jump from a project to a message, to a meeting, to another task, your brain has to reset. And that reset costs energy. So you can be on all day and still feel like you did nothing that actually mattered. Here's what it looks like when your attention is fragmented. You have trouble focusing on one thing. You feel mentally drained early in the day. You might dread your inbox. You avoid meetings, especially online, because you feel so depleted. And here's the practical reset. Start with this one small change. Do not check your phone first thing in the morning. Do not let the outside world set your nervous system before you have grounded yourself. Then consciously create structure around communication in your day, like choosing specific times of day for email and messages. For example, email and messages at 9:30, noon, and 4 p.m. Block time for deep work that's protected in between. And if your brain immediately says, I can't do that, ask yourself this. Is it true that I can't? Or have I just never trained people how to reach me? In 2026, attention is one of your most valuable assets. Look at it this way. Your results are a direct reflection of what you give your attention to. Reason number 4, you're burning out because your boundaries aren't clear. High achievers often worry boundaries will make them look less committed. But boundaries are a leadership skill. The tricky part is that boundaries are invisible. If you don't name them, people don't even know where they are. If you don't honor them, no one else will. Here's what it feels like when your boundaries need work. You regret commitments after you make them. You're resentful about projects, meetings, or people. You feel overwhelmed and then blame yourself for not handling it better. And here's the practical reset. Before you agree to something, stop and ask, is this okay for my priorities? Is this okay for my health? Is this okay for the quality of my work? And here's a simple boundary sentence that works well at senior levels. I am heads down on the priority we agreed on. If something becomes urgent, text me. You're not being avoidant. You're claiming your leadership. And one more thing, boundaries aren't only about saying no. They're about being clear upfront. A lot of burnout comes from fuzzy expectations. If you want less burnout, create more clarity. Reason number 5, you're burning out because of people pleasing. This is one that is so common, especially for women leaders, and it's sneaky. Because you can think you're being a great leader. You want to be liked. You don't want to disappoint people. You step in to fix things. You take on what others should be carrying. And maybe you say yes to avoid conflict. And in 2026, people pleasing can also show up as a safety strategy. When AI is impacting the work environment, and maybe you're afraid AI will replace you, some leaders try to become indispensable by being endlessly available and endlessly helpful. But being endlessly helpful is not the same as being valuable, and it's not sustainable. Here's what it looks like when you're people-pleasing. You struggle to say no. You seek validation more than you want to admit. You take responsibility for things that aren't yours, and you say yes and then feel depleted and resentful. Here's the practical reset. Leadership starts with leading yourself first. Self-respect is an important part of that, and protecting yourself is an act of self-respect. It's saying no. It's allowing other people to carry what belongs to them. Here's a sentence that helps you stay supportive without overfunctioning. I can't take that on, but I can suggest 2 options. That keeps you generous without carrying what isn't yours. So let's pull this all together now. If you're burning out, it's often because you're stuck in try harder mode. You're overextended. Your attention is compromised by constant inputs. Your boundaries are too flimsy, or you're overfunctioning to keep everyone happy. And the 2026 shift is this. Don't try to outwork the pace. Lead in a way that is sustainable and lead in a way that keeps you valuable. AI is going to continue to impact our work environments and become an integral part of our work and lives. Used well, It can be your strategic partner and amplify your success so you can lead with clarity, not exhaustion. But it doesn't replace your creativity, curiosity, or judgment. It doesn't replace your humanness or leadership. It doesn't replace your ability to set direction, make decisions, and influence outcomes. And if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Burnout isn't a personal failure. It's often a strategy problem, and more specifically, an alignment problem. Take what you've learned here today and create a better strategy. To support you, I created a simple resource that matches what we talked about here today. And this resource is called the Sustainable Leadership Toolkit. And it'll help you pinpoint what's actually driving your burnout and make better choices for your sustainable leadership. You can download it here using the link. And if you'll do me a favor, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me to grow this channel and offer more free leadership content.